Hey guys, welcome to the channel and another video. Today I'm going to be watching Rear Window by the one and only Alfred Hitchcock, starring James Stewart and Grace Kelly. Hitchcock needs no introductions, neither do Stewart or Kelly for that matter. They're all legends of cinema. Although I haven't watched too many films starring Stewart or Kelly, I have watched a couple of films made by Hitchcock, including Psycho and Vertigo. I think Stewart was in Vertigo. Both were excellent, but I watched them so long ago, I don't remember the finer details of the plot. Anyways, about Rear Window, I have known about this film for a long time, but I never took the time to watch it. I don't know why exactly, because I hear it's fantastic. All I know about the plot is that it's about what a man sees through his rear window. I think there's a conspiracy or a murder or something. I guess we'll have to watch to find out. By the way, if you guys have any good James Stewart or Grace Kelly films I should watch on the channel, even Hitchcock for that matter, please leave them in the comments below. But before we get into it, to help support the channel, I have a Patreon page for full-length reviews and reactions to this movie and over 130 films, TV shows, early access, and weekly polls for what to watch next. You'll need your own copy to watch along. The link's in the description below, by the way. Please consider being a patron. Please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon for instant notifications. Do check out my other videos. Like if you like this video, dislike it if you didn't. With all that being said, let's get started. Rear Window, Hitchcock, Stewart, Kelly. Let's go! This is probably one of the oldest films I'm watching on the channel. James Stewart, Rear Window. And this was a time where the credits were shown at the beginning and not the end of the film. Audiences, since the 80s, they have shorter attention spans, so they push the credits to the end. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock. And the opening frame is from the window itself. Looks like a very well-made set on top of an actual neighborhood. So it's hot, almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, that's why they're sleeping in the balcony, because it's so hot. Oh, and it's actually a couple. And you can hear the children playing on the street in the background. This gives the scene a lot of depth, like physical depth. James Stewart, who's sweating as well. Here lie the broken bones of L.P. Jeffries. Oh, he broke his foot. So that gives him a reason to be indoors. And an electric shaver in the 50s.
I get myself half killed for you, and you reward me by stealing my assignments.
Well, you're in a cast, my friend. Jeff is being shown to be a brave photographer. Okay, looks like the neighbors know each other since they live in such close proximity to each other.
Oh, why don't you shut up?
Well, she seems a bit nosy. I do declare.
Oh dear. We become a race of peeping Toms.
I wondered whether this is social commentary or not, for the time.
I love my neighbors like a father. And the judge says, well, congratulations. You've just given birth to 3 years. You've been watching haven't raised your temperature 1 degree in a month.
So she's already calling him out on looking at the neighbors. That's interesting.
You never gonna get married?
So he thinks that he's beneath her socially.
Get out of my life, you perfectly wonderful woman. You too good. Look, Miss, I got 2 words of advice for you. Marry her.
Did she pay you much?
Good advice. And it's interesting to see how sentiments change over the decades. It's interesting how he has eyes for that girl across the courtyard. Oh, it's a newly married couple. I hope Jeff learns a thing or two. Oh, that's a tradition which is followed in many countries.
Window shopper.
She's implying that he's fantasizing about it, but doing nothing to improve his life. At least his personal life. I love the colors in this scene. Holy crap. Grace Kelly. She's beautiful. Okay, she's the girlfriend. Lisa.
Duties, hidden taxes, profit markup.
A steal at $1,100.
That's like $20,000 now.
Will you have perhaps an ambulance downstairs?
Better than that. 21.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you
She's
for waiting, Carl.
definitely
The kitchen's right there on the left.
marriage
Oh, I'll take the
material.
wine.
Bringing the restaurant to him.
How would I run it from, say, Pakistan?
Jeff.
1954. Pakistan was a new country. Man, I love these beautifully made sets. And there's a lot to say about his camera work too, Hitchcock's. It's static, but sweeping and zooming. Very stable. Yeah, I don't think it's rehearsing though. I think the person is missing. You can see the sadness in her eyes. I love Hitchcock for holding these shots for so long.
You remember, of course, Miss Torso, the ballet dancer?
Oh!
She's like a queen bee with her pick of the drone.
He has nicknames for everybody. Miss Lonely Hearts, Miss Torso. Well, they were fighting earlier and looks like they made up somewhat. Interesting how Hitchcock separates the husband and wife using that pipe. Just by the visual storytelling, I can tell that they're not on good terms. And that's the pianist. Hey, that's Hitchcock! He likes to put himself
Where's that
in
wonderful
his films. He's known for that. That's Hitchcock.
Never have a few minutes after lunch.
Did you ever get shot at? Did you ever get run over? Did you ever get sandbagged at night because somebody got unfavorable publicity from your camera?
Well, Jeff also has a point.
Jeff, you don't have to be deliberately repulsive just to impress me. I'm wrong.
Deliberately repulsive. I'm just trying to make it sound good.
He does have a point. The life of a photographer isn't that easy.
Not until tomorrow night.
I love the way she was lit in that scene, almost covered in black. People like Hitchcock, they used to pay attention to these small details. How light played with the camera. Okay, things are about to go down. It's night. There's no sound being used, no music. Just a panning camera shot, focusing our attentions. You can see the artificial rain not in the corners of the screen. It's just down the middle. I'm not complaining though. I love seeing how the film is being made. His windows are shut. They were open earlier. Maybe because it's because of the rain. She's back from her date. And the dancing lady. Torso, Miss Torso. Oh, look at that dog.
I think he was taking something out of the apartment.
Uh-huh. His personal effects.
So he's already suspicious of that man.
Well, they're up now.
But the right one is closed. By the way, I love the classical piano music in the background, and I love the fact that there is a narrative reason for it, because there is actually a pianist. Well, that's a proper zoom lens. That should easily zoom in more than the binoculars. Dude, he has knives. If he wasn't suspicious earlier, he certainly is now. Huge knives, not kitchen knives. The dog. fully trained.
That's her, Lisa. Yeah, there's something terribly wrong.
Dude, she came for a booty call.
Shh, he's coming back.
Now he has rope with him. Okay, that makes him even more suspicious. Something's got her attention now. Hitchcock is a master of building slow tension. Yep, now she's interested.
As soon as you can.
Okay, he already reported the crime to a friend, not the police directly. I love how the murder isn't shown directly and it's only implied. Oh, and he's got people up. Removing this chest. Well, it makes him even more suspicious. Which is bad news because his detective friend Doyle
Didn't see the killing or the body.
wouldn't believe it because there's no evidence. He probably thinks it's hallucinations. Although Technicolor was fantastic technology back then, it does have a washed out look, a very distinctive look. Still has its suspicions. Hitchcock keeps cutting back to Miss Torso. I'm sure there's a reason for that.
What do you do? Are you interested in solving this case or in making me look foolish?
The second one.
Well, it's possible, but... I'd like to remind you of the Constitution. A phrase, search warrant, issued by a judge who knows his Bill of Rights verbatim.
Exactly.
Anna, is that who I think it is?
Mrs. Thorwald.
More contradictory evidence, but he's still convinced there's something wrong. I love the reflection on the lenses. I wonder whether that's actually real or it's composited later, because it definitely looks real. I think she represents what happens when you're alone, and that is in contrast with Jeff's views of not wanting to get married, maybe. But it looks like she's going out on a social event of sorts. It's amazing how invested I'm in already, considering the fact that the camera never left the apartment.
Long distance again.
Is he creating an alibi by making these phone calls? He must have reasons to take out the jewelry. His behavior is definitely suspicious.
Women aren't that unpredictable.
Yeah, okay, I disagree.
Well, I can't guess what you're...
There you go.
Put that over there. That's inside stuff.
Times have
Basic
changed.
equipment. And you don't leave...
But it's true for the time, I guess. Lisa is slowly impressing Jeff with her skills of observation.
Where does a man get inspiration to write a song like that?
Well, he gets it from the landlady once a month.
That's the newlywed couple, Doyle. I hope he brings news. Keep your eyes.
Careful, Tom.
Oh, yeah, there.
Well, it's simply that women don't leave their jewelry behind when they go on a trip.
Come on, Tom.
There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but nothing concrete. But at least she got some action, so good for her. Oh. Okay. He's being way too aggressive. I guess she wants a relationship, not a one-night stand. Okay, actually I feel bad for her again.
Show's over for tonight.
She is staying over after all.
What do you think?
Well,
She looks gorgeous. Somebody killed the dog. The dog was digging.
in the whole courtyard, only one person didn't come to the window. Look.
Lars, he's still there smoking. What is he writing? Miss Lars Thorwald with her. He's going to send an anonymous letter to see if he freaks out. And he's having Lisa do the dirty work. Not dirty work, but she's definitely an accomplice. Wow, that's that's amazing staging and camera work. It's all one shot. Excellent coordination. Oh, this lonely heart self-medicating. Is Lars figuring out that he's being watched? I think so.
You were taking all the chances, huh?
Shall we vote him in?
At least he's giving her credit. He certainly isn't expecting any phone call.
To settle the estate of your late wife.
I don't know what you mean.
Now, come on, quit stalling, Thorwald, or I'll hang.
He's not outright denying it. But an innocent man probably would have ignored it and called the police or something. He's actually complying with this random person from his perspective. A flash bulb. When the bulbs needed to be replaced after, like, what, every picture, I think? Taking photos back in the day, that was expensive. I mean, I got film in the 90s, but back in the 50s, I'm imagining being very expensive. I get what Miss Lonely Hearts and Torso represent, but what does the pianist represent, though? There's nothing there. Interesting. So why was the dog killed then? Lisa's really taking matters into her own hands. Well, that's what you wanted, Jeffrey, didn't you?
Oh, call the police.
Give me the police. 6th precinct.
Is she planning to end it all? Oh, crap!
What?
Does he see her? No. Dude, it's getting tense. He does see her. It's time to come clean, dude, no!
Stella, what do we do?
Start screaming. Make noise. Draw attention to them. Do something. This dude must be so confused. There's a woman in the house. Police. Somebody called the police. Somebody's trying to probably blackmail him with letters telling him to go meet. Oh, she has the wedding ring. And he notices. Oh my God. What a revelation. He knows. He knows who's been watching him.
Lisa's in jail. She got arrested.
Your Lisa?
My Lisa. Boy, you should have seen her.
Don't admit to more crimes, man. He's not inside the house. There's no cigarette light. Holy crap, I think this is Thorwald himself. So is this unnerving camera angle and how Hitchcock is playing with the light. It is Thorwald, I can tell by the glasses. That should be a little disorienting. Yeah, I love that effect. Well, it isn't really doing anything.
Lisa! Doyle!
Oh! Yeah, there are too many witnesses now. Holy crap! Oh! Very good compositing work again for the 50s. He is proud of her.
You got enough for a search warrant now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're redoing that house. And this couple has a new dog. Now both his feet. And the film ends with the window closing. Okay, I took some time to collect my thoughts. First off, that was a great film. Although I wouldn't say it was better than Psycho, this was a different Hitchcock film to be sure. The entire film was shown from the perspective of Jeff's window. I don't think we even got to see the bedroom of the apartment. It was all through Jeff's rear window. I don't think I have any outright criticisms of the film, honestly, but I did like a lot, including the story itself, the camera work, the use of light, sound, and the score, and especially the sets and props of the film. Let's start with the direction by Alfred Hitchcock and the writing by John Michael Hayes. This film was based on a short story by Cornell Woolrich. As I have not read the source material, I can't really comment on it, but this adaptation was fantastic in the hands of Hitchcock. I want to say that I'm nowhere near qualified to judge Hitchcock's work. His films have been studied and written about for over half a century. He's a master of filmmaking, and my opinions are just that, opinions, from my initial viewing. Hitchcock, he takes a lot of time establishing his main character, Jeffrey, even without uttering a single line. In the first 5 minutes, only through visual storytelling, we learn that he's a photographer, that the neighborhood was going through a heat wave, how he got injured, and we even get to learn about some of the characters and their individual personalities. A lot of the characters had subtle but meaningful arcs throughout the film. Miss Lonely Hearts represented what being alone and sad would feel if Jeff didn't get married. Although I don't completely agree with this sentiment, I can see the point. She ultimately finds love with the pianist. The pianist, I think, was meant to represent taking single life and passion to its logical conclusion. He was shown to struggle at first with his creativity, but eventually throws a party to surround himself with people. I think his sense of unfulfillment leads him to find Miss Lonely Heart. We also get to see Miss Torso, who's beautiful. I think she represented temptation in the film. Even Doyle, the police officer, had his eyes on her. Anyway, she was an attractive young dancer who entertained quite a few men, but was clearly saving herself for her true love, the army man who returns at the end. We also get to see the newlywed couple who are happy at first, but who are fighting by the end. I think at first I wasn't too sure why they were shown at all, but it later dawned on me that they were meant to represent a real marriage that has ups and downs. I think they were a representation of reality, ultimately. Finally, we got to see Mr. and Mrs. Thorwald. They were shown to be fighting from the beginning. I know at the end, Mr. Thorwald, Lars, was the killer, but I'm not sure there was a reason given for the murder, though. There were clues left by Hitchcock, like the long distance call Lars was making. Jeff also theorizes that these calls might be to a girlfriend, and that's why he was packing his stuff up to move with her. But I don't think we get anything concrete, or do we? And I missed it. I know this film has been analyzed many times over 50 years, so this is my impression from my first viewing. So if I missed the reason for the murder, do let me know in the comments. Anyways, Jeff was shown to be a brave photographer who got injured trying to take risky photos for his editor. His boredom is what drove him to spy on his neighbors. I think I'm being too harsh when I use the word spy, and I'm sure that wasn't his intention at the beginning. But as soon as he hears the word "don't," followed by a glass breaking in a rainy night, this sets him off on a path to obsessively try to figure out what exactly happened. James Stewart's portrayal of Jeffrey was excellent. He played his character with a down-to-earth vibe. He gets a little snarky here and there with his views on marriage and stuff, but that's besides the point. This was in sharp contrast with Grace Kelly's Lisa, a socialite who played her character with an air of sophistication. That was a great way to show how intimidating she probably was to Jeff. He felt like he was beneath her socially, and also felt like getting married to her would lead to her unhappiness because she has a certain lifestyle that he thinks she wants to maintain. And he's also a rough and tumble guy, a photographer who travels and has to get down and dirty. By the end of the film, she does win him over, as he says that he's proud of her for the risks she took trying to bring Lars down. Hitchcock somehow weaved all these characters and themes into a slow-burning, coherent, tense narrative expertly. I loved his direction, and I'm honestly looking forward to watching more of his films. That was great. The cinematography and camera work of the film was amazing, especially considering how limited Hitchcock was, showing only the perspective from Jeff's window. The entire film was told from the perspective of that apartment. Not a single shot was shown from anywhere else. What's amazing is that it didn't feel like anything was missing. I didn't feel bored for a second. The way Hitchcock framed his characters and played with light, especially in the night scenes, and the final confrontation between Lars and Jeff, it was marvelous. Furthermore, the choice of using fadeaway transitions to signify the passing of time was also great. I had no troubles in following the plot due to the excellent editing too. The music of the film was mostly diegetic, which was interesting. We mostly get to hear fantastic piano pieces by the on-screen pianist. I also admired how Hitchcock chose to use silence in some of the more tense scenes. The sound design was great too, with the sounds of the kids playing in the background, the people in the restaurant across the street. They all made the neighborhood feel alive. A special highlight of the film for me had to be the sets and props. I feel like the view from the rear window, the entire view from the rear window was a set. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it definitely looked like a set. The set itself was so meticulously detailed that it reminded me of a typical Stanley Kubrick film, just obsessively perfect with details. Everything from the interior of each and every house, the props inside the houses, to the flower garden, to the street in the background. I don't think I've seen better from a film which was shot in the 50s. Since I don't have any outright criticism of the film for my first viewing, overall, Rear Window was a fantastic film that stood the test of time. Alfred Hitchcock's mastery of storytelling was on full display. Even though the entire film was told from one single room, I was thoroughly captivated throughout the runtime. Even the characters that I thought weren't important to the main story had their own meaningful story arcs. That's excellent writing. The music was great. The camera work and the cinematography were amazing. The performances by James Stewart and Grace Kelly were top tier. And the way Hitchcock tied all these elements together to form a murder mystery plot was masterful. This is essential viewing for any film lover. Thank you so much for the recommendation, guys. Anyways, thank you for watching. I have a Patreon page. Consider being a patron. Subscribe to the channel. Do check out my other videos. Like if you liked this video, dislike it if you didn't. I will see you in the next one. Bye.